China has been building towards the 19th National Congress of the Communist Party for a long time. It happens only once every 5 years, and during its duration, the party sets the tone for the next 5 years of its rule, and then selects the most powerful people in the country. Earlier this week, the party announced the members on its standing committee of the Politburo. This ends years of speculation about the intentions and power dynamics within the party's highest ranks. Because of the lack of information we have about the inner workings of the party, signs like these are all that we really have. The official Xinhua news agency release said that the 5 people promoted, in addition to holdover Xi Jinping and Premier Li Keqiang, were current Xi Jinping Chief of Staff Li Zhuanshi, who is 67, and based on the order of rank from which he appears, he is likely to be the head of the NPC. Vice Premier Wang, who is 62, he is likely to be the head of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. Current party theorist Wang Huning, who is 62, and he is likely to be the executive vice premier and the guy who works closely with Li Keqiang. Current party personnel chief Zhao Leji, who is 60, and he is looking to be the CDIC chairman, and Shanghai party secretary Han Zheng, who is 63, who looks to take the ideology chief position. None of the people that I discussed in my previous video were promoted, which is a surprise because they had been put on the fast track and it seemed like that they were going to make it. But certain rules still did apply, and one in particular was that they were chosen out of the larger central committee pool of the Politburo. One big question that was answered was the status of Wang, who is the key corruption fighter and the driver of the anti-corruption drive for the past 5 years. He had turned 69 years old, which put him above the unspoken and unwritten rule that says that people who are over 68 years old should retire. The news came out that he was left off the new Politburo Central Committee, which elects the Standing Committee, which guaranteed that he will not be part of the latter. And in the end, Zhao Leji was elected to be the head of the Anti-Graft Commission. He is just 60, and as the youngest within the Standing Committee, he is likely to come back at the end of the 5-year term, though you never really know what might happen. It had been thought that the chairmanship would go to Li Zhuanshi, who had been thought to be very close to Xi Jinping, especially being his chief of staff since essentially 2012. It seemed likely that Xi would want the man running this organization to be very close to him. However, it does not seem that he gets the CDIC spot. If Xi Jinping had followed old traditions, then this would be the time when his heir apparent would appear on the committee and be seasoned through the next 5 years. This is not the case. It is likely that the rest of the members of the Standing Committee will retire at the end of the 5-year term. They are all members of the 5th generation cohort and are above 60 years old. The wider 25-member Politburo included younger officials who did not make the cut, including Chongqing Party Chief Chen Min-er, who's 57, and a former Xi Jinping aide, and Guangdong Party Chief Hu Chunhua, 54, who had been called Little Hu and is closely associated with the Tuanpai faction that Hu Jintao leads. Hu Chunhua had been fingered as a potential successor to Xi Jinping since he was one of the youngest top officials of the Communist Party alongside Sun Zhenkai. But Sun was removed from power for corruption and essentially replaced within that cohort by Chen Min-er. It was thought that Chen or Hu would be added to the PSC, but it seems like it was not done, possibly because of anointing either as the heir apparent, something Xi does not want. It's still unclear as to what extent the new members of the committee have in the wake of Xi's status as core leader. Back when Deng was in power, the members of the Standing Committee had hardly any. It was all concentrated with Deng. Xi is now the top man in charge, and it seems like the experiment with collector leadership, horse trading factions, and other such things have faded.